Salida, ladies and gentlemen, Jim from Sounds German here. Apologies if I sound a bit hoarse. I'm in the last stretch of a cold right now, but the show must go on, as they say. So today we're here with something a bit different, and I actually hoped I'd never have to make a video like this, but I kinda feel my hand was forced. If you don't know my content, let me describe it for you real quick. I present music from Germany, Austria and Switzerland specifically for non-German speaking audiences. My goal is to inform my viewers about albums or bands that they might like but not know, because most of our local stuff rarely becomes well known outside of our borders. I do this through weekly reviews and occasional opinion pieces. I buy the albums I review myself and in return monetize the videos through YouTube's own system. But given that my channel still is very new and I have a very small viewership at the moment, the income is basically non-existent. I don't do this as a job, nor do I intend to. It's a hobby and passion of mine, and I treat it as such. My reviews are entirely presented through a monologue of mine over an info card about the album I talk about. Said info card consists of the album's title, the band's name, the genre, the music label that published the album, the number of tracks, the playtime, and its cover. I don't use any samples of songs in my reviews, not even clips from official music videos or album teasers. I made this decision deliberately so nobody could tie me a noose over an argument what is and is not fair use. The German band Samsas Traum apparently disagrees, however. On the 5th of July I uploaded my review for the Samsas Traum album Poesie Friedrichs Geschichte. A few weeks later that review was made public. The review itself was written months ago and published in text form on a site that doesn't exist anymore and was one of multiple older reviews I turned into videos. On October the 1st of 2016 said review was taken down with a copyright strike. The claimant named in said strike was Samsas Traum Fabrik, and the email address stated in the claim seems, as far as I could find out, to be actually from the official YouTube channel of the band. In case you don't know, a copyright strike means the video is taken down and your channel is being striked. Multiple strikes in too short a time period can mean that your channel gets terminated and all your videos removed from the platform. This system, per se, makes sense of course, since it's there to prevent uploads of pirated material like full movies. There are bots detecting copyrighted material working on YouTube which sometimes falsely strike videos because it can't recognize what is and isn't fair use. This strike, however, was manually detected. This means it was not a bot misfiring, it was a human being who manually reported my video. According to the statistics for this video, which had 41 views at the time of the strike, it was also watched to completion once before it was striked. So it's safe to assume that the person who striked the review watched it in its entirety before reporting it, which in return means that the person knew full well there is no breach of copyright in there. My first reaction to this was, of course, to counter the claim. If a video gets striked, the content creator can hand in a counter if he thinks the video was unrightfully striked. The claimant then has 10 business days to react to this, if he believes he is in the right with his copyright strike. If nothing happens within those 10 days, the copyright strike is lifted again and the video is being reinstated. Should the claimant counter the counter, however, it would mean he is willing to actually carry this into a court of law. My second reaction was to write the label of the band, Trisol Music Group, explaining the situation and wanting to know if the strike was legit or done by a third party who just pretended to be the artist. I got an answer incredibly fast in which the label told me that the copyright strike was not handed out by the label itself and that they would forward the mail with this issue to the band because logically they couldn't know if the band handed out a strike or not. I mailed them a second time with a request if they could lift the copyright strike at least, assuming that the label is in a legal position to do so and all it would require is one email to YouTube from them. YouTube is actually surprisingly uncomplicated in this regard, as all it takes is one single mail by the rights holder to lift a false copyright strike. I never got an answer to this request. A week later, without any response whatsoever, I asked the label if the band had answered them over this matter, since neither the band nor the label wrote me back. Again, no answer. So I wrote one last mail on October 13th, this time to the band itself through the email address provided to me in the YouTube copyright strike notification. I also made a Facebook post right after the strike in which I marked the band directly in hopes it would lead to some answer, but nothing happened there either. Because the thing is with YouTube, anyone can claim to be an artist or a company that holds the rights to something and strike a video down. False strikes happened multiple times before, and since it's an automated process, well, there is really not much you can do to prevent it as a content creator either. My main concern was if the strike really came from the band or not. At this point in time, I have to assume it did. Before I go on, I want to make it very clear though that this is entirely an assumption of mine. An assumption because I have no concrete proof, because nobody involved here really talked to me. Unlike in other known cases where creators frivolously striked videos off YouTube and then basically boasted about it, nothing like that happened here. It was just total silence after the first mail. I assume it was the band, however, for multiple reasons. The first reason maybe being the ugliest one too. I was quite critical of the album I reviewed. Poesie, Friedrichs Geschichte, is about a boy who lives in the Third Reich that gets labeled as mentally ill and executed in the end for it. As you might imagine, it's, well, quite a heavy topic. Now, I didn't smash the album, I didn't tear it to shreds in my review. However, I felt it was inconsistent in its presentation, that it simply lacked the necessary respect for a topic like this, and this was probably the harshest I went in the whole review, that the band is simply not equipped to handle a topic like this properly. Bandleader Alexander Kashte, who I assume handles the social media presence and website of the band, has butted heads with critics of his works before more than once. To some people his works were very polarizing for years. I personally had no strong feelings on the people in the band nor their art. Samsas Traum made a few tracks I quite liked, a few tracks I simply didn't care for, and that was basically my whole history with their doing. That there was no reaction from the band whatsoever made me somewhat suspicious too. Also that the label reacted incredibly fast the first mail, because the only answer I got from them came in on a national holiday, but then never replied again. Did the band maybe admit to striking the video and the label realized it would be bad to admit this? Well, we might never know. The band's and label's Facebook social media accounts were active multiple times during this time period, so I have to assume my messages were seen and willfully ignored. Another reason I assume it was the band is the strike itself. The official Samsas Traum YouTube channel has no official email stated anywhere. I had to Google the address to see if it's legit, and it links to the official Google Plus page of the YouTube channel, which leads me to believe it is legit, and it seems a bit hard for a third party to find out this exact email address since it's nowhere publicized. The official FAQ on the band's website certainly didn't help either. One of the questions there translates to Alexander Kashte has kicked a video I made off of YouTube. Why? The first sentence of the answer goes, and I quote again, Alexander Kashte simply didn't like your shitty video. He then goes to name examples like AMVs or cover versions. While doing a bit of research, I even found a DJ who apparently got a remix of his Strike Down 2 a while ago. But I won't lie that this first sentence and the whole FAQ come off as incredibly, let's call it, protective. There's also the fact that if you look up the band and album name on YouTube, you will find only the official channel and one unofficial video. A fan unboxing of this album's limited edition, while also verbally sucking off the band and album before he apparently even listened to it. So, even if you would go on the completely asinine reasoning that showing the cover of the album would be a breach of copyright, then one has to wonder why an incredibly positive video about the album didn't get deleted too. Another thing might be that my review popped up high in the search rankings, which is something I can't test at the time of recording this because my video is still 2 days away from being reinstated. All things considered, I can only assume the strike really came from the band. At least I have no reason whatsoever to believe otherwise. And since I didn't break copyright law in any way, I can also only assume it happened because my criticism was not liked. As I said before, I have no proof for this, it's only an assumption I came to. If you want to believe this or not is entirely up to you. I'm just telling you what happened and what I found out and what I did about it. I also think both a label and a band would have a high interest clearing such a thing up if it was done by a third party, as a story like this never creates a good reputation. So I would assume it would be in the best interest of the artist to at least say, nope, that was definitely not us. That is, of course, only possible if it wasn't them who struck the review in the first place. We saw behavior like this ruin shitty companies in the video games industry already. The most well-known cases would be Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling. Of course, I don't have the reach and audience of either of those two. And unlike, for example, Digital Homicide, both Samsas Traum and Trisol are far too well run and established to get ruined by this. But that won't mean I will shut the fuck up about it either. This copyright strike was absolutely laughable. And maybe I will only one day reach a larger audience, and then this video will still be there for everybody to see. Whoever striked my video possibly hoped I wouldn't counterclaim it, hoped for an easy victory over, what, a channel with 26 subs? Well, let me tell you right here and now, I ain't giving it to you. In the end, this copyright strike even inconvenienced me far less than I expected it to. The video went back up on the 19th of October. Not that it pulled lots of clicks before anyway, so I didn't really lose out there. My monetization got taken away for a few days, which is entirely irrelevant due to my channel's size, and it got reinstated right away after my counterclaim was received. I had to go through this wonderfully patronizing YouTube copyright school, but since I could answer the 4 questions asked in there right away, I at least was able to spare myself the little Tree Friends teaching movie about copyright. Still, it somewhat jeopardized my channel and fucked with it in multiple ways. I don't consider this, however, a victory for myself either. It's just another scratch in the bedpost, marking yet another case where a little human oversight could have prevented a false copyright strike. It's a case that could have been completely prevented, but we all know YouTube wants as little human interaction as possible, and another person moaning about that won't change anything. I dearly hope shit like this won't happen again, simply because I could have spent the time I spent writing and making this video, writing the mails to the label, writing the mail to the band, writing a counterclaim and all that. It's time I could have spent better, to be honest. That I'd like to have spent otherwise. As I said, this channel is a hobby for me, nothing more. I don't think of myself as some high and mighty critic. I only give you my personal opinion and music and try to recommend my viewers good things and prevent them from spending blindly money on something that they might not like. That's pretty literally it. To whoever striked my review, I want to tell you the following. If you feel the need to strike down a channel as small as mine, if you have nothing better to do than write a copyright claim on a Saturday afternoon over a video with not even 50 hits for an album that is months old already, then you're pitiful, you're sad, and you can fuck off as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't even matter if it was the band or not who struck me, it applies anyways. Hell, I mean, I could have understood it if I had an audience like, for example, the Needle Drop.
Destiny, stop Tano here.
And this was a new review. If my video would have actually reached thousands of people, I'd have at least understood if an artist get upset. But let's be real here, my channel is completely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things on YouTube. I'm a speck of dirt when it comes to clicks and subs, and this video was old and based on an even older written review. And yet you still felt the need to strike my video. If you really were just a fan who striked my video because I dared to criticize your little god, deal with it. Because there are critics out there far meaner than I was. But alas, you can't just get rid of written reviews, while a YouTube copyright strike is easy and fast. And if it really was the band behind this and you felt your little artist ego hurt because I didn't give you a verbal blowjob like all the 16-year-olds who think you're the deepest artist out there, deal with it. Whoever you are that claimed my video, you're a cowardly, conniving little piece of shit. And you won absolutely nothing. So, this was that. The story is over and done, and hopefully this is a topic I never have to talk about ever again like this. Should the label or the band now, after this video is published, all of a sudden come around to give me any responses, I will add them in through the description and put in an annotation or edit the title, just do anything that will ensure you will see it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Salida.